Hello everyone, I'm the Saint of Soul, and this is going to be a tier list video of all of the other empire types in the galaxy. So that includes any empire that would go under the other tab in diplomacy, but also pretty much any other empire that wouldn't go into the normal AI empire or player empire category. So this is including enclaves, the Caravaners, fallen empires, the crisis, Marauders, all that good stuff. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. First we have Corp, which is the trader enclave that gives exotic gases. I think B tier is good. It can't really go into A tier. It just gives you 5 gases. It can also do some things for your economy, give you a governor and stuff, but not all that great at the end of the day. Not anything too special to go in A or S, but also not bad. Definitely useful. Definitely useful. I always hire these guys in every playthrough because, yeah, 50 gold is just worth the 5 exotic resources. So, yeah, also we have the Mutagen Merchant Guild, which sells crystals, which I think are slightly more useful than gases. I mean, maybe gases are more useful, but gases are also more plentiful. So, yeah, I think I'm going to put the crystals here just because gases are easier to come by. You know, you can have the nebula mining things on your star bases. I find a lot more gases in space, so I just think crystals are a little bit more rare, a little bit more hard to come by. Even though gases you're probably going to use more of with, you know, with your research things, but, yeah, I think crystals are harder to come by, so we're going to do that. Then we have the Riggin Commerce Exchange, which sells moats. I would put moats at the top here because you need them, and they're also pretty rare to come by. I mean, there's not many ways to get them, so yeah, I would put moats. I always find myself hurting for moats the most and gases the least in playthroughs. So that's how I'm ordering these. The moats, of course, go to mining, food, alloy production, basically all the most important things. So yeah, that's how we're going to order them. Of course, they're all going to stay in the B tier because, I don't know, five resources is useful, so it's not bad, but it's also not anything special, so it's not A tier. Anyway, next we have the Curator Enclave, which is going in the S tier automatically. I mean, there's just not much to say about it. It can just do everything. It has research, it can increase your research, it can give you great scientists, it can give you intel on other empires, it can give you intel on Leviathans and how to defeat them and where they are, and it can give you L-gate clues, which usually take you months and months to research. And they just offer them for energy credits. I mean, it's just like you're always going to want to be in contact with a Curator Enclave. So S tier, no question about it. Then we have the Art Enclaves. I guess they can go in A tier. They're also someone you always want to be in contact with and probably always want to be buying. Their newsletter is good for Unity for the same reason the Curator Enclave is good for research. And yeah, they can offer you monuments, they can offer you the Ministry of Culture building. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff they can give you. And of course they got the Art College, so I think solid A tier for them. Then we have the Salvager Enclave, which I want to love so bad because they're so cool, but they're just not very useful. Like, normally you don't want to salvage your ships, like the very rare cases in which you actually want to salvage your ships, and taking those ships to the Salvager Enclave, unless it's in your empire, the Salvager Enclave is absolutely useless. F tier, gone. But just for the sake of the tier list, and the sake of them being cool, I'm assuming it's in your empire and you can actually get to it easily. So once it's in your empire, you actually can do some stuff. You can get the salvage yards. You can get some other cool stuff from them, but overall, they're just not very useful. You can buy some ships from them sometimes, but very little amount of ships, and outdated ships. You got to upgrade them anyway. It's just not all that useful, unfortunately. And speaking of not all that useful, we have the Shroud Touched Coven, which is pretty useful if you have the Origin, because you can have a Shroud tunnel. But otherwise not too useful. They give you events. And they give you they can give you a council position and then a counselor to go there, which is a pretty decent council position, but that's only really if you have terrible, like, other council positions from your civics, which you can have. So it's definitely not D tier useless, but the events that it gives you, I just can't justify it being above C tier, especially if you don't have the Shroud Teacher's Origin. Then you don't even get the Shroud portal. So they basically just give you events and a counselor position. So yeah. Then we have the mercenary enclaves, which you create yourself, of course, and these are extremely useful. I'm debating S or A. Probably S. I mean, you can go all in on mercenary enclaves and just have extremely powerful mercenary empire where basically you don't even have to use any of your fleet power, and you have these like incredible 100, 200k plus fleets just at the ready at all times that you're not even paying for most of the time. It can be incredible, but it could also be useful if you're just a regular empire and you know, you need one mercenary. You can just get one mercenary enclave from the galactic community decision. I forget exactly what it's called, like private defenders or something, but anyway, it gives you a mercenary enclave capacity, and it's so good because it can give you another 100k fleet easily. It can give you the logistics thing that they help you with, and the mercenary garrisons, which this is their symbol for the sake of this tier list. So yeah, they can do a lot, and they can be very, very powerful. They can also be pretty useless. I mean, their ship designs are not always great, but definitely S tier, I think, just for all the different things it can do. And you know, it takes away logistics when you pass the galactic thing, but it also gives you back naval capacity. Did I say logistics? I meant naval capacity. It takes away naval capacity when you pass it in the galactic community, but then it gives you back naval capacity when you buy logistics from them. So it's just really a benefit. Like, yeah, there's no real downside. So yeah, they're just extremely useful. They're so useful they're going in the S tier. Then we have Choir's Compass, which never gives me the Galatron, so I want to put them in D. I literally have never got the Galatron from them, but being reasonable, I guess I'll give them A. A seems good. They're useful. They give you different stuff. They let you gamble your money. Maybe B. Maybe top of B. You can get relics from them, like the Galatron. You can get pretty good deals when it comes to opening the relinquiries. But you can also get really crappy deals. So yeah, I'm going to say B. They're definitely cool. If you have ever zoomed into their system, you can see the billboards and stuff. Very cool. Very cool system. But usefulness, probably around a B. Maybe, yeah, probably B. Maybe bottom of B, actually. They're just gambling most of the time and opening relinquiries, which is another gamble. So yeah. Then we have one of the Caravaners. This one is the Numistic Order, right? Yeah, I think this is the Numistic Order. So these guys, these have the trade value guys. The trade value, they can give you a trade value merchant. They can increase your trade value. They can give you the Numistic Vision, I think it is, which is Edict. Basically, they can increase your trade value, and most of their trades are actually pretty good. So I'm going to give them A tier. Yeah, the Numistic Order are the people who give you trade value, and they're pretty good. Then we have, unfortunately not very good, is the Vigralin Trium? I don't really know how to say their name, never have. We don't really need to, because they just provide terrible buildings, and the cost for those terrible buildings are... they're not worth it. They give you the bunk beds, they give you the food containers or something. They're just never good. And like, they want outrageous prices. Sometimes they want like pops or society research or unity. I don't even know. It's just not very good. I never trade with those guys. And then last but not least, we have the Racket for the Caravaners, and the Racket are definitely cool. They're like the trash collectors, which actually give you some pretty good trash tech, like the orbital trade disposal thing, or the orbital bombardment that just drops trash on them. That's pretty good. But, you know, they also have like a recycling center building that they can give you. They give you Racket pops. They give you robot pops. Their trades are overall pretty good. And they also can give you alloys and stuff, or like rare resources. They're pretty good. I'd say they're mid. B tier is where they should go. Then we have the Marauder Empires, which are basically just barbarians. They're definitely really cool flavor-wise, and they're very useful. You can hire fleets of like 9K, 6K, and 3K, if I'm not mistaken. You can hire fleets from them, and they're not bad fleets, especially in the mid game. You know, their fleets are definitely worth the energy credit investment. You can also hire generals from them, and yeah, they're overall pretty cool. You can hire them to raid your neighbors, of course. They also raid you, but unless you're really hurting economy-wise, it's not really a big deal. You can just kind of pay them off. So overall, really cool addition to the game. Marauders definitely up there for one of the most impactful and cool things they've added. Can't go into S tier though. Can't go in the top of A tier just because like they don't do as much as I guess they can go in front of the in front of the Numistic Order, but they definitely don't do as much as the Art College people. So yeah, then we have the Great Khan. Hey guys, before I tell you where the Great Khan is in the tier list, if you guys don't mind subscribing, if you like this video or like my videos in general, please subscribe. It would help me out a lot. It's free, and if I could reach 1,000 subscribers, I could make ad revenue. Just being honest with you. Anyway, back to the video. Alright, to the Great Khan. Definitely, it has to go at least A, because it's just such a cool mid-game crisis. It introduced mid-game crisis to the game, and man, it's a cool crisis. It's got like, you know, very powerful ships, definitely a threat, but can also be defeated. It's very well placed, very well done. I think it definitely adds a lot of flavor to the game, shakes it up. It's very impactful to your game, especially if it spawns near you, or even if it doesn't, it shakes up the political, you know, landscape of the galaxy. So yeah, very cool overall. Of course, the Great Khan also can do you know, different things when it dies, which the Empire can split, or the Empire could stay together, or, you know, just all kinds of things that can happen. Very, very interesting, very cool. Maybe S tier, at least top of A tier. We'll put them in S tier for now. Yeah, of course, you can also get the Great Khan's Throne and get the Satrapy vassalization type, which is awesome. Just a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff with the Khan, so I definitely put him in as a S tier addition to the game. Definitely a S tier other type empire. Then, of course, we have the Living Metal, which is a symbol for the Dasanu, which is the Elgate people. The Dasanu are basically nanite people that don't want you to know that they're nanites. The nanites are LARPing as an empire, and yeah, they don't really do much other than that. Yeah. they really don't do much other than LARP as an empire. They give you some living metal when you discover them. But yeah, they get mad when you ask about whether they're nanites or not. That's about it. Yeah. There's the Dasanu. They're in the Elgate. They're a thing that can happen. They're probably the least interesting of the Elgate things that can happen. Still cool though. But if something's got to be D tier, it's the Dasanu. So then we have the Grey Tempest, which is definitely more interesting, but also like not all that interesting at the same time. Like, they have a pretty cool fleet like design. They're powerful. They're a mid-game crisis, but who opens the Elgates in the mid-game anyway? I don't know. They're not all that special to me. We'll put the Grey Tempest here because they do shake up the game a bit, but they're just not all that cool. Of course, the Owl cluster itself, which we're not ranking in this system, is obviously very useful when you open it up and you can colonize the worlds, especially if you can terraform them and whatnot. But yeah, the Grey Tempest as an empire is not all that cool. So we have gotten to the Fallen Empires. Here are the Holy Guardians. No, sorry. Here's the Holy Guardians. First, we're going to do the Keepers of Knowledge here. So they have good worlds. They have the Ecumenopolis, which is, if you have the base game, these guys are S tier because they give you a Ecumenopolis without the DLC. I don't know why you wouldn't have the DLC, why you would only have the base game, but if you do, definitely S tier. But as a, you know, DLC enjoyer myself, I would say probably A tier. I mean, they do have the best world. They have the Ecumenopolis. They also have the Archives, which is another good world. It's a decent world. But they also, I might have to put them in B, because they ask for your scientist, and they just humiliate you in wars, which is pretty boring. Like, obviously, you're not going to want to give them your scientist, and obviously you're not going to want to, like, you know, it doesn't really matter if they humiliate you in a war. It's not really that impactful, so yeah, I think they're going to have to go into B. They're definitely cool, and they have good worlds, but, yeah, they can give you an Ecumenopolis. So, that's really good. Other than that, yeah, not all that interesting. Then we have the Holy Guardians, which are definitely more interesting. They have the Celestial Throne and Sky Temple, which are good worlds, and they have the Holy Worlds, which are also pretty good, but how good, though? Probably not all that good. If you're a Spiritualist Empire, definitely more good. And you definitely want to side with them when the time comes to side with them. Otherwise, yeah, they're just going to ask you to, like, you know, ban technology or whatever, robots, or I forget exactly what they do when they declare war on you. They obviously tell you to get off their holy worlds, which is cool. It's definitely a cool thing for a new player. I think they probably go here in the middle of B. We might have to organize these guys. The racket might have to go down to C. I want to keep these tiers. I mean, the racket's kind of more cool than Choir's Compass. Does more for you. Maybe Choir's Compass can go in C. Yeah, that looks good. But yeah, the Holy Worlds and the Celestial Throne, Sky Temple, pretty cool. And you can also have like a Spiritualist Fallen Empire thing with you know, with the Shroud, that little event. I'm kind of reaching at this point. they're mid. They're mid when it comes to Fallen Empires. Then we have the Enigmatic Observers, which have lots of worlds. They have like Cradle, Mother, Brother, blah blah blah. And then they have what's the world? The Preserve, which is another world. They ask for, you know, to preserve your people. They ask for the data from the people from Limbo, which I pretty much always get that event. Yeah, and they're genuinely pretty nice. They also open their borders a lot to you, which is really nice. So definitely up there. Definitely better when it comes to worlds, because they have lots of worlds, and they have the Preserve, and they're generally friendly. And the things they ask of you are pretty reasonable requests, so you can get on their good side. They can open their borders. All around, pretty good empire. I would say definitely A. Like pretty much every playthrough, you're gonna get along with these guys unless you're a real jerk. They're gonna ask you to outlaw purges. So if you're a real jerk, yeah, yeah, maybe you won't like them. But otherwise, yeah, you're gonna get along. Then, the opposite of getting along, we have the Militant Isolationists, which aren't all that interesting. I'd put them in C, I think, because they're just... Their world is not all that good. They have the core and boundary, which... the core is 25 tiles, which is good, but other than that, pretty boring. They have shielded worlds in their borders, which can give you some events. They have nerve-stapled pops, which is... you know, economically pretty good, especially if you can't nerve staple your own pops. So that's good. But yeah, other than that, pretty mid for a Fallen Empire, and mid for Fallen Empire kind of means C tier, so yeah. Then of course we have the Ancient Caretakers, which are epic. They're just glitchy robots that help in the end game. Not much bad to say about them. They also force you to, or well, they want you to take a random vaccine or something that like may or may not just be their brains messing up. Yeah, I don't know. They're pretty epic. They can help out in the end game, and they're never really a threat to you. And they give you a ring world if you defeat them. And usually they aren't that bad to defeat. They can't awaken. So, like the other Fallen Empires, they can awaken and kick your butt and enforce their laws on you. The Ancient Caretakers, they cannot. So, yeah. Or at least I've never seen them do that. I don't think they can. I think they just fight the crisis if they ever awaken. So that's not even technically awakening, is it? So yeah. Then we have the asteroid hives, which are the things that pop up when you get a system that has like a whole bunch of mineral asteroids in a circle, and they give you like 6 to 8 minerals, and you mine them, and then you realize, oh, this system isn't actually just a free 30 minerals. It's actually full of this asteroid hive. Pretty cool. Can't give it above like a C tier. we're gonna give it top of D just because it's cool. And if you have habitats, that's a really, really good system for minerals. But even if you don't have habitats, still a really, really good system for minerals. Like, it can get up to like 50, 60 minerals if you have the right techs and a mining station. And obviously you destroyed the asteroid hive. So I guess that's another empire. I just threw it in the list because why not? Then another thing I threw into the list was the Habanti Unified Worlds. I always called them the Habanite Unified Worlds, but that's not how it's spelled. Looking at the when I looked at the wiki, so yeah, I guess these guys can go. These guys can go. I guess A. They're pretty cool overall. Maybe they can go top of B, and I can put these guys in A. Yeah, because they have the Ecumenopolis, mainly the Ecumenopolis and the Archives worlds are carrying these guys, but they also have robots. It's pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, back to the Habanti from, you know, that one system, Helios, or I think it's Helios. Anyway, these guys, they're an empire that spawns. Usually they're pre-FTL and they just tell you to go away if you ever attack them. But if you attack them and you get back into their system some other way through, like, if you actually get their system connected through a hyperlane, then they become a regular empire and they become the Habanti Unified Worlds. These guys generally pretty powerful. They can shake up the game a lot, especially depending on what part of the game you unlock them, because whoever attacks them decides their tech and their, you know, and their naval capacity, I think, as well. So yeah, they can be pretty powerful entity. And also, even if they're not, like, they're pretty cool overall. They have all of those worlds. They have that tech that can just teleport you out of their system. Overall, pretty cool. You know what? Maybe top of C. Top of B was a little bit much. Now that I'm talking about them, they don't really do too much. I mean, they have that achievement. You can get like Soul X or something. Other than that, not all that much to talk about. Pretty cool little empire. This is actually a normal empire, if you actually spawn it, which means it's not really another empire, but I decided to add it because, you know, it's kind of another empire. And then finally, we have got to the Crises. So, of course, this is the Unbidden. The Unbidden are amazing. I have loved the Unbidden since the beginning of the game. I'm going to put them in A tier. They're very straightforward. They're extra-dimensional invaders that want to consume you. They want to take over everything, and yeah, I mean, they have mainly shields and like energy weapons, and obviously if you look at them, they look like they're made out of shields. It's just always nice seeing the Unbidden. They're a very fair Crisis to fight. Powerful, but fair. You can counter them. Yeah, I just love the Unbidden. So definitely going into A tier. Then we have the Aberrant and Vehement. These guys are kind of like the Unbidden, but they spawn afterwards. Pretty cool. I don't know where I should rank them per se. Probably top of C, just because, like, you don't always see them, especially if you crush the Unbidden, but they're very cool to see. You know, more extra-dimensional invaders coming to take on the Unbidden. Very cool thing to see. Very cool. I really like those guys. So then we have the Protheon Scourge. Another very cool Crisis. Extra-dimensional, or, well, I guess extra-galactic invaders that come from the edge of the galaxy. They have the Strike Craft. They have the Brood Mother thing that you can get, of course. You know, they have a lot of stuff they can do with them. So definitely A tier. I think most of the Crisis are probably going pretty high up on the list. Definitely the Unbidden and the Protheon Scourge. They're a very interesting Crisis. A lot of stuff that can happen. Then we have the Sentinels, which pop up to fight the Protheon Scourge. They're pretty cool. I'd probably put them along with the Aberrant and the Vehement. Sure, why not? They pop up to fight the Sentinels. They have a mixture of different ships. They have a Fallen Empire Titan, and yeah, they're just a group of people that have been wronged by the Protheon Scourge that have grouped together to fight the Protheon Scourge. Gotta love them. Are they all that interesting? No. Actually, you know what? They are pretty cool. I'm actually gonna move the crisis like things to B tier. I think. Yeah, they're definitely cool, like and impactful. The list is pretty much based on cool factor and impact factor, and they're definitely cool and impactful. So I will move them up. Then we have the contingency, which it's definitely my least favorite of the crisis. It's pretty straightforward. They have ships that are pretty balanced and overall not all that interesting, and can really either do absolutely nothing to your empire or absolutely screw it over by having more than one of their worlds spawn in your borders. So, yeah, when it comes to crisis, this is definitely the most boring one. It's got to go at least at the top of C tier because it's a crisis. But, yeah, other than that, it's just, you know, they have the synth infiltrators, they have the machine worlds that you blow up. But otherwise, probably the most boring of the crises as of the moment. So, definitely C tier. I mean, it's a crisis, so it needs to go above all the, you know, like, regular boring things. Probably put Choir's Compass a little bit. I just saw Choir's Compass deep in the C tier, and I guess that's not really right. I mean, it can go behind the contingency, but definitely above the Helios system. So then, last but definitely not least, we have the Shroud. Top of S tier. The Shroud is amazing. It can give you so many things. It can give you covenants. It can give you all kinds of events. It can give you the Chosen One. It can give, I mean, like, do I even need to explain why the Shroud is the top of S? I don't really think so. Like, if you're a spiritualist, the Shroud is the most important other empire you're always going to be contacting and seeing what you can get. You can get psi jump drives, psi shields, and all the stuff that comes with a covenant. It's just, yeah, the Shroud. It's obviously more impactful to the game than all of these things. Probably combined. Well, not combined. Okay, I lied. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but the Shroud, definitely top of S tier. I don't think there will probably be many arguments about that. So this is how our list looks. It's a little heavy in the middle, but I guess that's fair. I think this is fine. We only have 3 things in D tier, only 4 things in S. Yeah, this makes sense. I mean, we could probably move the Great Khan here if we really wanted to balance out the list, but nah, I'm going to leave them in S tier. And I think everything else is where it needs to be. If you liked the video, you can feel free to like the video. If you disagree with anything or agree with anything, please feel free to leave it in the comments. And of course, subscribe if you want. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully.